Visit Pollywood. It's a documentary from Academy Award-winning director Barry Levinson, and you are about to have a front row seat and a backstage pass to it. The film covers the most important and cinematic presidential campaign of our time, profiling politically active actors, powerful political figures, and the media that cover it all. Our number 2 story on the countdown: is there a line between politics and celebrity, or just a big circle around both of them? My friend Barry Levinson will join us, but first, a glimpse into the world of Pollywood.
Politics and celebrity. Some folks complain they don't belong, they shouldn't be intertwined. Why are you compelled to speak out and make your opinions known?
Why do you think it is important to lend your celebrity here, especially at the DNC?
You came all the way out here from Hollywood. What drew you to come out here?
What will you be doing on the convention floor and during the convention?
It's a funny thing. I've been getting that question a lot, and I think people have become kind of cynical about politicalized celebrities.
If I do have a skill or a credential, it's being able to communicate to people. So I want to learn what it is and hopefully communicate it to, regular folks.
Joining me now is Oscar-winning filmmaker and the director of Pollywood, airing on Showtime next week. Barry Levinson, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Hi, how are you?
Barry, I watched you at a lot of these events, the Democratic Convention, running around with the film crew to all of these different things. I couldn't figure out what you were shooting. I couldn't figure out what you were getting. Did you know what you were getting when you were shooting it, or did you have to find it in the editing room?
Well, I think as it progressed, you begin to see this kind of collision of things that I wasn't necessarily prepared for. So I think you see how powerful the media is and the concept of celebrity and politics and how it becomes confusing and turns into the circus.
And you were not exactly thrilled with the circus. Having watched Pollywood now myself, you have many complaints in every direction, including the media. So I'm going to give you a very short time. This will be your shortest answer, okay? Take your best shot at us. Take your best shot at us, the cable news focus on the campaigns and what our influence is or should be or...
Well, it's the good and the bad of it all, because, what happens is the frivolous nature of it is what basically comes to the top. It's the circus atmosphere as opposed to the substance. And both conventions, in many ways, are just a kind of, people are running and people are grabbing things, and all of this kind of nonsense begins to bubble up, which is unfortunate. In it, there is some great substance, and there are quite some serious issues that have to be addressed, but there's way too much kind of three rings going on.
Now, most of the movie stars in your film, many of whom I know, we know that they would be there no matter what their occupation is. They are dedicated and interested citizens who are very much interested in politics, but they are there as celebrities. Anne Hathaway cannot walk into a stadium without all eyes turning to her. What does that do to these kinds of events, to have people like Anne and others showing up there?
Well, what happens is, some of them, they point the finger about that it's all wrong because they're actually concerned citizens that want to basically attend some of these events. And sometimes, they're really as a spectator. Some have specific kinds of causes that they care about, issues that they feel they want to spotlight. But what happens is, in the times we're in a polarization, we keep pointing fingers and how dare you talk about this, and you shouldn't do this, etc., which in fact is, I think, misleading. We are talking about responsible citizens, some of which want to just be spectators and some in which feel strongly about certain issuys.
Now, when the credits are rolling on this documentary on Showtime next week, what are you hoping the audience is thinking?
Well, I never really kind of like to go down that road. I think you just get a little bit of a look and you can draw your own conclusions from what you see and what changes do we have to make. I mean, the irony is that television is still very new. And we begin to learn and adapt to what goes on, and that's the good and the bad. If you go back to the very beginning of film, in the movie The Great Train Robbery, the bad guy points a gun at the audience and fires it, and the audience actually ducked. And because they were afraid of that. Now, of course, now we don't pay any attention to that. We understand it. We move on, and we begin to evolve, and we understand some of the way the games are played and how language is used and misused. And it's an ongoing process to begin to make sense out of in many cases, the nonsense of it all.
We don't let great artists come on Countdown. Even to talk about just politics, you're going to have to tell us something about your art. What is the difference, Barry, between a documentary like this, working with no script, working without lighting crews and all of that stuff that creates the magic in real big-budget movie making? What is the difference between these two ways of approaching material?
When you approach a written script, you're trying to basically get all the elements out of each particular scene and the evolution of the characters throughout. In a documentary, it's a constant discovery. Rather than trying to do an agenda, you're trying to make sense out of what's going on. You're talking to people who will say things that will surprise you at times. That's part of it.
We were rolling some film, Barry, beside your image as you were talking, and I think I saw a shot of me in there somewhere. I just want to warn the audience, we have no makeup in this thing, okay? So, please. Barry Levinson, director of Pollywood, which makes its television debut on Showtime next week. Thank you very much for joining us this night.
Thank you.